Welcome to another edition of Wednesday's virtual tasting of the featured Effin Beer of the Week. This week we're going to taste Bothell's Effin IPA. We're going to also go over the recipe of the beer, little brewer's notes, virtual tasting, and a little history on the city of Bothell, Washington. So you get a lot of information here tonight in a Wednesday evening event. Bothell's Effin IPA is a 6.2% alcohol by volume IPA with 69 IBUs. We brewed this in a half barrel batch or 15 and a half gallons. The color on this thing is 8.6 for the SRM, the International Color Scale. So it's got a nice bronze light copper color. We used Bothell water, so we did not treat our water. All we did was filter it through charcoal filter to take the chlorine out. And we used Imperial's Kaiser yeast, which is a German variety. So we have two malts. We have Alex Two-Row, which is made by RAR, and it comes from Alberta, Canada. And it was 92% of our malt bill. And for that, we used 36 pounds of the malt. And we also used 3 pounds of crisp 45 crystal malt. And that's a British floor malted version of crystal malt. 3 pounds gave us 8% of the malt bill. So just those two malts, they were mashed in 148 degrees. We wanted a smaller chain sugar so they would easier convert to alcohol. 1 hour at 148, and then we sparged it with 170 degree water, stripped all the sugar off the husks, and captured it in our boil kettle and boiled for 1 hour. Now, 1 hour, when we got the boil started, we added our first hop addition, Columbus hops, 39 IBUs we got with a 2.1 ounce addition at 60 minutes. Then at 30 minutes, we added 3 ounces of Chinook, and that gave us 27 IBUs. And at 0, we added 3/4 of an ounce of Columbus, which gave us another 3 IBUs. And then at 0, we added another 2 ounces of Chinook. Gave us no IBUs, but it gave us some of that nice aroma and flavor of the Chinook hops. And then we moved it into our fermenter at 65 degrees, let it rise up to 68. That was our control temp. For 1 week, we took it out and put it into secondary fermentation at 32 degrees for just cold conditioning to give it its clarity. And then we force carbonate to 1.5 volumes, which is the British carbonation level. The result is a great IPA. Let's take a look. Let's give a smell to it first. It's got a nice, well, let me also tell you that we made sure that it didn't over attenuate, so we made sure that it didn't go past 1016 for a terminal gravity. We wanted a little bit of that residual sugar in there with a little sweetness up front to match the nice hoppy finish to the beer. So 1016 was our terminal gravity. That's important because I'm smelling some malt richness, sweetness up front, and a little citrusy from the hops. Now, I'm not the biggest IPA fan, so when I design IPA, I'm looking for drinkability, I'm looking for enjoyment. I want to have a good malt upfront character, and I want a nice, firm, dry bitterness. I don't want that cloyingly scorching bitterness. This has a nice, well-balanced. It transforms well from an upfront sweet, a little of the alcohol on the back of your tongue, and then it goes to that nice, dry finish and bitterness. A little citrusy. This is an IPA I think that anybody would enjoy. There's nothing offending about it. Even IPA drinkers are going to like it. They probably call it a session IPA, although it's 6.2% alcohol and 69 IBUs. Delicious in every way. You know, it's a very good complement to when you have that upfront sweetness from the malt character and moving it into that the bitterness quality of it, whether you're getting a little bit of bite to it, you're getting a dryness out of it, you're getting that citrusy, hoppy character to it. It just balances really well. I think it's a really good blend. Well, who would like to learn a little bit about Bothell, Washington, the history? Well, it's got a storied background to it, and let me give you a little insight. Prior to European settlement, the Sammamish River Valley from Lake Washington to Issaquah Creek south and upstream of Lake Sammamish was inhabited by a population of as 200 Native Americans known as the Sammamish people. The Sammamish were relocated after Puget Sound War in 1856 to reservations and non-reservation lands. In 1870, Columbus Greenleaf and George Wilson filed land claims in the area formerly inhabited by the Sammamish near present-day Bothell. And they built homes there. 8 families followed over the next 6 years. In 1876, Canadian George Brackett bought land and began to commercially log out of a camp located in the north bank of the Sammamish River, what is now down as the heart of downtown Bothell. A store, a school, a sawmill followed over the next several years. In 1985, Brackett sold 80 acres to David Bothell, a settler from Pennsylvania. The town's first postmaster, who bought his property from Bothell, named the town in his honor when it was platted in 1888. Later that same year, a local railroad was built through the town to transport coal from Issaquah. Bothell was officially incorporated on April 14, 1909. Bothell continued to grow as a logging and expanded the boat traffic, brought increasing amounts of goods and passengers up and down the river. As more people moved in the area, the Army Corps of Engineers decided to dredge and straighten the river in the years shortly after Bothell's incorporation. Most boat traffic came in an abrupt end only a few years later when Lake Washington was lowered in 1917. Water transport also shifted to trucks after a brick road was built from Seattle. The logging economy declined quickly around the same time, and the local economy shifted to farming. After World War II, better highways and post-war boom brought suburban development to Bothell. These new neighborhoods and a series of annexations dramatically expanded Bothell's population from about 1,000 in 1950 to over 45,000 as of 2017. In 1992, the city annexed an area in southern Snohomish County, becoming a dual county city and adding 11,400 people. During the decade, the city's population increased by 144% to over 30,000. Bothell was mostly a bedroom community for the people working in Seattle until the 1990s, when business development brought new jobs and created a regional employment center in Canyon Park with about 20,000 jobs. Many in high technology sectors as biotechnology and software development. In 1990, a campus of the University of Washington opened in Bothell. A major fire broke down in the Mercantile Building July 22, 2016, damaging and closing more than 20 businesses, and the fire dealt a blow to the redevelopment program and required state aid for rebuilding. Since then, things have reopened. Main Street is back to being open for foot traffic right now, as the COVID has allowed businesses to put tents and tables out and bring people into the city. We decided that Bothell needed its own beer, so after the fire in 2016, we developed Bothell's Effin' IPA, and I think Bothell will be proud of this beer. It's a delicious beer. And now you know a little bit about Bothell's history. So I'm going to bring this a little closer so I can see who's here and see if there's any questions. We got Kim and Roxanne and Stephanie and Molly and Diana and Mark and Tony and Ryan and Brad. Ryan says, for a day or a lifetime. And that is exactly true. That is Bothell's official slogan. And we did a beer called For a Beer or a Lifetime as we were trying to raise money to help get that sign back in the city. Anthony's watching. Anthony says, what temp are you serving? So I served this at 40 degrees. I think IPAs typically like to be served a little bit colder. I think between 40 and 45 would be fine with this beer, which is not your traditional British temp. But I think this is still do fine when you get to the 50. I think you're going to get a little more malt forwardness, and the hops are going to be reduced a little bit as it warms up. And Mike's joined us. So we got a good crowd, number of people watching. So why did we come up with the ingredients? Well, we wanted to have something that was local. So we wanted local. We used local water. reading this history, I don't see any. I thought we had some German heritage in this town, but I realized after looking at some history, there really isn't any. That's why we decided to use the German Kaiser yeast from Imperial. But it does well because German yeast is a very clean yeast, and it doesn't really have any fruity esters to it. So that's going to give you some of that just basic, clear concept of what the malts and the hops are going to be about. We used raw Alex 2-row from Alberta, Canada, North American, high quality 2-row base malt, and then we also used the Crisp 45 crystal malt, because what we wanted was we wanted to bring some of that richness and some of that crystal malt to bring a little bit of a upfront sweetness, and you get much more of that when you have a floor malted British crystal malt than you do from a North American one. Now the hops we used, we used Columbus and Chinook, which are very much American hops. Bothell doesn't have a hop that was invented here. Doesn't have a hop that was growing here wildly, and just because of nature. So we didn't have anything we could use for that, but we wanted to use some really classic American hops. And Columbus gives you a really good firm bitterness to it, or Chinook gives you some that really good citrusy compound without being overly citrusy and giving you too much of that. It really is a really well balanced citrus hop. So that's why we use those. We mashed it at 148 degrees because we didn't want this to be a cloyingly big mouth beer. We didn't want it to be chewy. We wanted a little bit lighter profile in the mouth. And we stopped the fermentation at 1016 because we want to have that little bit of that residual sweetness left. We have Judy and Scott just joined. Welcome. So the result of this beer is just delicious. And when you think of IPAs, a lot of times you think of, bitter, it's too bitter, it leaves my mouth too dry, it takes the taste buds away. This does not do that at all. This has got that really, really good, lightly sweet up front from the crystal malt, and stopping that fermentation so we didn't convert all those sugars to alcohol. It gives us that little bit of warmth in the back of the tongue, and that's the alcohol at 6.2%. When you get past that back of the tongue, that's when the dryness and bitterness starts to kick in, and you still have some of that sweetness up front, and you've got a little of that dryness and bitterness in the back, and that's just a great balance. And it gives you a very, very pleasing overall concept to the beer, and I can't find one defect in it. I can't find one thing I would change, and we've been brewing it this way since we first did it. We do it occasionally. Usually we have it in the summertime, but having the tasting room open makes a big difference. And since it's been closed since March, we're just doing growler fills, so it kind of limits our ability to do some of these things. Welcome to Craig and Elaine for just joining us. For those who just joined later, the beer we're drinking tonight and tasting is Bothell's Effin' IPA. And it's delicious. If you like IPAs, this is going to be one that you're going to go, wow, that's a great IPA. If you're not an IPA fan, I think this is one that you're going to really like, and you probably want to pick it up. Well, how can you get this beer? Well, we're going to do curbside pickup this weekend, both Friday and Saturday, 4 to 5 p.m., and we're doing growler fills of this beer. We're going to have 8 beers you can pick up growlers of, but this particular one is available only in growlers. $16 for a growler fill. That's for a half gallon. That average, if you get 4 pints in there, that's going to average to you about $4 a pint that you can enjoy at home with some friends or just yourself, and it's a great deal. How do you get it? Well, if you go to our foggynogginbrewing.com website, hit the beer tab, all the details are there. So what you end up doing is sending us an email saying, this is what I'd like. We send you an invoice, you pay for it, it's ready for you, drive up. We either put it in your trunk, your back seat, or hand it to you, whatever you're most comfortable with, and you're off in your way. You get home and you enjoy this beer and have a great weekend. And weekends are better with really good beer. So, and I think that with the weather we've been having, all that rain and wind, we need to have some comfort in our lives. And since we can't go out to restaurants and enjoy things inside, you're going to have to do it inside, and might as well have really good beer while you're doing it inside. So that's for this beer, and tomorrow we're doing a happy half hour, a live happy half hour session at 5:30. That's some music, piano, song, a little laughs one or two of those, and it's a great start for the weekend because the weekend officially starts after our happy half hour. That's 5:30 on Facebook Live tomorrow night. And the best way to get notified is if you go to our Facebook page, Foggy Noggin Brewing, and you say follow, you'll get notified every time I go live, and then you won't have to worry about, hey, are they live tonight or not? And you'll get notified, and you can follow along, enjoy, and give us your input, or just sit back and relax and enjoy. And then next week on our virtual tasting, we're going to be doing a very, very big seasonal favorite for this time of year. We're doing Cranberry Frost. That'll be coming back. That's a strong golden ale with dried cranberries that are put in the boil, and it's just a delicious beer. And Ryan says Hawks tomorrow. That's true. So here's what you want to do, because you want to participate in our happy half hour. Record the game. Set the Seahawks game to record. You watch us live from 5:30 to 6, and then you pick up the game and you start watching it, and you can move through the commercials, and you'll catch up probably before the third quarter's over. You'll be live. You maybe halftime you pick up and go live. So that's what I would do, because you want to make sure you get our happy half hour, then you get the Seahawks, and then you get to come pick your beer up Friday and Saturday for the weekend, and that's a great start to a great weekend. So Bothell's Effin' IPA, if you joined a little bit late, you might want to rewatch this. It's going to be archived on our Facebook page, because I give you a little bit of history on Bothell. And I learned something looking up on the history on Bothell, and I think you might enjoy getting a little educated on Bothell history. So I bet all of you have tasted an IPA before, but if you haven't had this beer, I bet you've never tasted an IPA like this one. This is one that IPA lovers are going to adore. It's a little bit more tame than a lot of the Northwest IPAs. People who are not really saying probably say, I tend not to go to IPAs, I think you'll really like this one. So Ryan says, sorry if I missed it, but when is the cranberry beer available? Cranberry Frost will be released not this weekend, the following weekend. And so we'll be doing curbside pickup for growlers on Thanksgiving Day from 2 to 3, and you'll be able to order those and have those ready. It's 1 hour pickup for Thanksgiving Day, but that Friday and Saturday we'll be doing curbside pickup 4 to 5. So you have 3 chances next week to get some Cranberry Frost. And we normally have our tasting room open on Thanksgiving Day from 2 to 3, and it's a crazy time. People are in great mood, and can't do that, but we can do curbside pickup so you can have some fresh beer for your Thanksgiving dinner at your own home, or if you're going to some friend's house, you can have it there. So, foggynogginbrewing.com. Hit the beer tab. All the details are on this week's beer. So we've got a lot of cool beers. We've got a few growlers left. I'm going to post those on our Facebook page of our coconut, double coconut duck. We have growlers left of our double chocolate duck. So you want to pick some of those up. There's 4 growlers left of the double coconut duck, and I think there's about 8 growlers left of the double chocolate duck. So be looking for that, because we'll give you some more details. But order those early, not later, because they're going to run out. And we've got some good bottle selections. We've got, if you take a look, they're all listed there right on the website, and you can pick up those beers, add them to your order, and you can also get some cool merchandise. Who wouldn't like a nice shirt like this? I want my effing beer. We have hats. We have pint glasses. Our beer tastes best when it's got a Foggy Noggin logoed pint glass. And we've got tax signs. We've got stickers. We've got other shirts. So just take a look. And gift cards. Gift season's coming up. And what is the easiest thing to get somebody? A gift card. But you want to get them a gift card somewhere that they can really get what they want. The gift of beer is the best gift. You can get those in any denomination, and you can have those ready for your curbside pickup as well. So a lot of cool things to remember, and holiday season coming up, and we'll make it easy for your holiday shopping with our curbside pickup delivery service. So any other, John just joined us. Vicky joined us and Jeff joined us. So don't forget, you guys, you can watch this replayed on our page because we will archive this session of our virtual tasting. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night for our happy half hour. Make sure you record the Seahawks game, watch us at 5:30 live, and then you can pick up the game as the game is going on and miss all those commercials. And we'll see you this weekend for curbside pickup. Thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, happy half hour. We'll see you at curbside pickup and next week for our next virtual tasting. Cheers, everyone.